All right, everybody. Thank you all for coming to the final project presentations for CSE 125 in spring 2004. What I'm going to do is very briefly go over the course, what it's about, what we're doing here, and then I'm only going to speak for about 10 minutes on the boring part, and then we're going to go through each of the 5 groups, and they're going to demo their games and show off what they were able to accomplish this quarter. So 125 is a rather unique course. It's a course about a project experience. There's just one project, and the students have to be very self-motivated to do that project. And the course is targeted for graduating seniors. And one of the interesting aspects of the course is that the students work in large groups that they've never worked in before. 6 people on a large project, and the project is too large to be done by one person. So there can't be a hero person. It has to be, you have to work together to be able to make the project succeed. And this is a project where you have to use a lot of tools. So instead of in other classes where you try to learn from basic principles by building from scratch, here there's no time to build from scratch. You have to learn how to use the tools that are out there and build upon them to do a really good job. And the bar for the project is very, very high. The project has the stringent demands of a high-performance, real-time distributed system. And then finally, if possible, the students should have fun. And I'd like to think that they have. I certainly have. And it's a very easy course for me to teach because on day 1, I hand out the syllabus, which has one assignment, which says implement a distributed real-time multiplayer 3D game. And it's due on the last day of classes today. So you get to see what they were able to produce. Now the project, it is a game. It's a distributed real-time game. And it's easy to forget that the games are actually very challenging software projects. So the project is actually a large, complex software system that has many, many challenges that the students have to face in implementing it. It's distributed, so it's multiplayer over the network. There are 4 clients interacting with the server. It's real-time. They need realistic frame rates so that you get the illusion of interactivity. And it's very complex. You have 3D graphics, you have networking, you have asynchrony, you have sound and animation, all working together to be able to produce the game. And it just so happens that it's fun too. And this is a course, one of the reasons why I like to teach it, because it's a course that I wish I could have taken in college. We didn't have such courses when I was in college, so I do the next best thing, which is teach it. And the organization of the course is very, very simple. We spend the first week and a half or so going over the history of the course, an introduction, an overview, goals, what the course is going to be about. And these are just lectures in the classroom. And then we have about a week and a half of design, where we have group meetings with me and the TA, John Rapp. And the groups produce a design document, a specification, an implementation schedule, and a set of deadlines. Essentially a roadmap for the game, what they want to produce, and a roadmap for how they're going to produce it over the course of the quarter. Right? So a set of milestones for them to aim for so that by the time today happens, they're ready to go. And there's about 8 weeks, really, of implementation. And during these 8 weeks, we have weekly group meetings with me and John, each of the groups. And the groups also write up weekly group and individual status reports. And they do updates to their schedules. And all of this information is documented on their webpage. All these web pages are available. And together they essentially form a diary for what the groups went through during the quarter to produce the project that you see before you. All of these things are up on the webpage. If you're at all curious, just go to the group webpage, click on each of the group web pages, and you can see all their project reports. It's rather interesting to see what the development process of the game is like from the very beginning to the very end. And I want to emphasize that for this class in particular, in every way, the students make the class successful. The projects are entirely their own. This is the result of their creativity. And they solved all of the hard problems themselves. They did something that I've never done before. So they're venturing out into territory that's unknown to the instructor. And it's a complex software environment, Windows and DirectX. They're using new tools that they've never used before for modeling, animation, sound, and networking, things like that. And all of this stuff is real-world code, so it has bugs. And the students have to figure out that the bugs are in the other pieces, the library code, let's say, and figure out how to work around it. And these are all real-world situations, and they're on their own for figuring it out. And they do a very, very good job. So the projects that you're going to see really reflect the outstanding independence, the personal initiative, and the problem-solving skills of the students in the class. And I view it sort of as the culmination of the curriculum in the department and the personal achievements of the skills and talents of the individual students. And from my perspective as the instructor who just goes in every week to interact with the groups and see the projects evolve week by week, it has just been an incredible process to watch over the course of the quarter. It is just really amazing. Because they start out with nothing, and they wind up with these incredibly amazing games. So what I'm going to do is to end, give you a very quick visual run through the quarter, let's say from my perspective. So the first week, the very beginning, enthusiasm and optimism runs very high. After all, how hard could it really be, right? These are games, it's a lot of fun, we know how to do graphics, we know how to do networking, and all we have to do is just do implementation slapped together. No problem. Okay. Well, then after the first week, the groups sort of split up into subgroups, and they work on individual modules in the projects. Let's say graphics on the client, and then networking, and then the server, and the game logic on the server. And then comes a time when everybody has to come together and try to glue everything together. This process is called integration, and it happens roughly in mid-quarter. And this is a time where, well, before everybody could sort of work off on their own, but now everybody has to come together and try to get all of their code to work. And it's a very interesting process to see two people or two groups of people each having their own module and trying to get the modules to work together. And this is a time when the lab really starts to fill up. Before then, it's a little bit scarce. And if you've seen the demos for previous year courses, you might remember that the time of integration, the time when all the different parts of the project come together to form an initial version of the complete game, this is the most intense time, really, of the quarter. Because this is where you really make the game and you really see what happens. And in the past, this is the time when I took the opportunity to have to go on business travel. So I had to leave all the students on their own while I was off, doing what professors do. Like in 2002, I had to go to a workshop in Italy. It was pretty rough, especially the food. Oh, the food. And then last year, it wasn't about my design, but then I had to go to another conference in Hawaii, and let me tell you, Hawaii, that was really, really rough. But this year, I decided, look, I abandoned the students in the previous years. This time, I'll change my tune, and I'll stay local, just so that I can help them out. All right, and then around 8th week, something very magical happens, which is that at the beginning of the quarter, when the students write up design documents about how they foresee how their project is going to be implemented and how it's going to work, they either create these nice little box diagrams showing the client and server communicating to each other, or they scribble on the whiteboard, and I have absolutely no idea what beware the cookie courier actually means. But then around 8th week, something very magical happens, which is that they have games. It went from the drawing board to something on the computer. And around the 8th week, particularly the 9th week, every time you go in the lab, all the groups are playing their games. They have something to play. And it's really, really amazing to see. But that's not the end. The end is last night, right? It's 10th week. Suddenly the quarter is over. The demo is pending. And we want to all put in the last final tweaks, the last final polishing of the games. And this is what the lab looked like last night at around midnight. And that's when I went home. But it's not when the students went home. And before we transition to groups, I just want to acknowledge a few people who really make this class possible. Lowell Kinsner from ACS, who provides constant help throughout the quarter to support the the projects, we need software packages from around the world, and Lowell's the one who makes sure everything runs and makes sure the students can actually implement their games. And Mark Hayes and Bose Gurdon from Microsoft, or associated with Microsoft, were extremely helpful providing free software for the students so that they could work at home as well as books for reference manuals. And they're the ones who, Mark Hayes in particular, Microsoft, are the ones who provided the equipment for the lab. And then finally, Steve Rotenberg, formerly of Angel Studios and Rockstar, has been a guest lecturer in the course for many years and a perpetual supporter of the class. It's been really great. And finally, a special thanks to John Rapp, our TA. John is the one on the right, and he's giving very, very detailed help by helping playtest the games. And John is the one, really, who answered all the hard questions that the students had about the details of using DirectX in various libraries. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to demo the games of the 5 groups. And the 5 groups are, I'm not even going to attempt the German. Group 1 is A City Divided. Group 2 is Campus Combat. Group 3 is Little Johnny Has Cirrhosis. The groups had free reins over their titles. Group 4 is Mars Attack, and Group 5 is G1S, and you can ask them what that means. And then for each group, we're going to do they're going to introduce themselves. They're going to describe the concept of the game that you're going to be watching. And then they're going to do a demo with audience participation. So they're going to ask, start. You guys start. And they're going to ask for participants in the games. Okay. Now that Group 1 has received their subtle cue to start beginning, let the games begin.
All right. My name is Ed Wu. We're from Group